Continuing with Exodus 38:21. These are the accounts of the tabernacle of the testimony, as they were counted according to the commandment of Moshe, for the work of the Levites by the hand of Ithamar, the son of Aaron the priest, and Bezalel, the son of Uri, the son of Hur, of the tribe of Yehudah, made all that the Lord commanded Moshe, and with him was Aholiab, son of Achsamech, of the tribe of Dan, an engraver and an artist and an embroiderer in blue and in purple and in scarlet and fine linen. All the gold that was supplied for the work in all the work of the holy place, even the gold of the offering, was 29 talents and 730 shekels, after the shekel of the sanctuary. And the silver of them that were numbered of the congregation was 100 talents, and 1,775 shekels, after the shekel of the sanctuary. A pekah for every man, that is, half a shekel, after the shekel of the sanctuary, for everyone that went to be numbered from 20 years old and upward, for 603,550 men. And of the 100 talents of silver were cast the sockets of the sanctuary, and the sockets of the veil, 100 sockets of the 100 talents, a talent for a socket, and of the 1,775 shekels he made hooks for the pillars, and overlaid their capitals, and bound them. And the brass of the offering was 70 talents, and 2,400 shekels. And with that he made the sockets to the door of the tent of meeting, and the brazen altar, and the brazen gate, and the brazen grate for it, and all the vessels of the altar, and the sockets of the court round about, and the sockets of the court gate, and all the pegs of the tabernacle, and all the pegs of the court round about. And of the blue and purple and scarlet they made uniforms, with which to do service in the holy place. And they made holy garments for Aaron, as the Lord commanded Moshe. And he made the ephod of gold, blue and purple and scarlet and fine twined linen. And they did beat the gold into thin plates, and cut it into wires, to work it in the blue and in the purple and in the scarlet and in the fine linen, the work of an artist. They made shoulder pieces for it, joined on. By the two edges was it joined on. And the finely wrought girdle of the ephod that was upon it was of the same, according to its work, of gold, blue, and purple, and scarlet, and fine twined linen, as the Lord commanded Moshe. And they arranged the shoham stones enclosed in fixtures of gold, graven as signets are graven with the names of the children of Israel. And he put them on the shoulders of the ephod, that they should be stones of memorial to the children of Israel, as the Lord commanded Moshe. And he made the breastplate of artistic work, like the work of the ephod, of gold, blue, and purple, and scarlet, and fine twined linen. It was 4 square. They made the breastplate double. A span was its length, a span its breadth, being doubled. And they set in it 4 rows of stones. The first row was a ruby, a chrysolith, and a beryl. This was the first row. And the second row, a turquoise, a sapphire, and a diamond. And the third row, a ligure, and an agate, and a jasper. And the fourth row, an emerald, a shoham, and a jade. They were enclosed in fixtures of gold in their settings, and the stones were according to the names of the children of Israel, 12 according to their names, like the engravings of a signet, every one with its name, according to the 12 tribes. And they made upon the breastplate plated chains of wreathen work of pure gold, And they made 2 fixtures of gold and 2 gold rings, and put the 2 rings in the 2 ends of the breastplate. And they put the 2 wreathen chains of gold in the 2 rings on the ends of the breastplate. And the 2 ends of the 2 wreathen chains they fastened in the 2 fixtures, and put them on the shoulder pieces of the ephod, toward the forepart of it. And they made 2 rings of gold, and put them on the 2 ends of the breastplate, upon the border of it, which was on the side of the ephod inwards. And they made 2 other golden rings, and put them on the 2 sides of the ephod underneath, toward the forepart of it, over against its coupling, above the finely wrought girdle of the ephod. And they did bind the breastplate by its rings to the rings of the ephod with a lace of blue, that it might be above the finely wrought girdle of the ephod, and that the breastplate might not be loosened from the ephod, as the Lord commanded Moshe. And he made the robe of the ephod woven work of all blue, and there was a hole in the midst of the robe like a hole of a suit of armor, with a band round about the hole, that it should not tear. And they made upon the hems of the robe pomegranates of blue and purple and scarlet and twined linen. And they made bells of pure gold, and put the bells between the pomegranates upon the hem of the robe round about between the pomegranates, a bell and a pomegranate, a bell and a pomegranate, round about the hem of the robe to minister in, as the Lord commanded Moshe. And they made coats of fine linen of woven work for Aaron for his sons, and the mitre of fine linen, and goodly turbans of fine linen, and linen breeches of fine twined linen, and a girdle of fine twined linen, and blue and purple and scarlet, the work of an embroiderer, as the Lord commanded Moshe. And they made the plate of the holy crown of pure gold, and wrote upon it a writing like the engraving of a signet, Holiness to the Lord. And they tied to it a lace of blue, to fasten it on the mitre above, as the Lord commanded Moshe. Thus was all the work of the tabernacle of the tent of meeting finished. And the children of Israel did according to all that the Lord commanded Moshe, so they did. And they brought the tabernacle to Moshe, the tent and all its and all its furniture, its clasps, its boards, its bars, and its pillars, and its sockets, and the coverings of ram skins dyed red, and the covering of takish skins, and the veil of the screen, the ark of the testimony, and its poles, and the covering, the table, and all its vessels, and the showbread, the pure candlestick with its lamps, the lamps to be set in order, and all its vessels, and the oil for the light, and the golden altar, and the anointing oil, and the incense of spices, and the screen for the tabernacle door, the brass altar, and its grate of brass, its poles, and all its vessels, the laver and its pedestal, the hangings of the court, its pillars and its sockets, and the screen for the court gate, its cords and its pegs, and all the vessels of the service of the tabernacle for the tent of meeting, the uniforms for the service in the holy place, and the holy garments for Aaron the priest, and his sons' garments to minister in the priest's office, according to all that the Lord commanded Moshe. So the children of Israel did all the work. And Moshe saw all the work, and behold, they had done it as the Lord had commanded. Even so had they done it, and Moshe blessed them. And the Lord spoke to Moshe, saying, On the first day of the first month shalt thou set up the tabernacle of the tent of meeting, and thou shalt put in it the ark of the testimony, and hang the veil before the ark. And thou shalt bring in the table, and set in order the things that are to be set in order upon it. And thou shalt bring in the candlestick, and light its lamps. And thou shalt set the altar of gold for an incense before the ark of the testimony, and put the screen of the door to the tabernacle. And thou shalt set the altar of the burnt offering before the door of the tabernacle of the tent of meeting. And thou shalt set the laver between the tent of meeting and the altar, and shalt put water in it. And thou shalt set up the court round about, and hang up the screen at the court gate, And thou shalt take the anointing oil and anoint the tabernacle and all that is in it, and shall hallow it and all its vessels, and it shall be holy. And thou shalt anoint the altar of the burnt offering and all its vessels, and sanctify the altar, and it shall be an altar most holy. And thou shalt anoint the laver and its pedestal, and sanctify it. And thou shalt bring Aaron and his sons to the door of the tent of meeting, and wash them with water. And thou shalt put upon Aaron the holy garments, and anoint him, and sanctify him, that he may minister to me in the priest's office. And thou shalt bring his sons, and clothe them with coats. And thou shalt anoint them, as thou didst anoint their father, that they may minister to me in the priest's office. For their anointing shall be an everlasting priesthood throughout their generations. Thus did Moshe according to all that the Lord had commanded him, so he did. That's Exodus 40 to 17.